Exciting, enthralling, epic. The final match of the 2018 Grand Slam of Darts had a bit of everything. Big scores, big checkouts, and a whole lot of controversy, even contact between the two players. And it has the darting world divided. Mind games are just madness. Today on High Roller Radio. We knew what they were bringing to the table. The Flying Scotsman was packing pure skill, fantastic and fluid. Many say when he's in top flight, he's unbeatable. A two-time world champion. In the Iceman's corner, a competitive flame that burns bright, a Wales wonder whose transition from pro rugby to pro darts, it seems, with relative ease. Gritty and tough, he is very loud at the Yaki. His patented celebration, this, a big roar, was on full display at the Grand Slam in a finale filled with fireworks. So heated, things boiled over in the 27th leg. All tied at 13 in a race to 16 for darts glory, the Eric Bristow Trophy, and the 110,000 pounds for first, with tensions mounting, and Anderson the big favorite to win. The Welshman cleaned up a 25 finish, a big moment, and as he went to celebrate, Anderson approaching the Yaki, they bumped. Already steaming, they had words earlier. Anderson then pushed Price. Price stood firm, they had more words, obviously put off by not only the Iceman's antics, but also his fine play. Anderson would not win another leg, and Price snagged his first ever major title. Wales' first ever too. History. There were no handshakes, just pandemonium. Confetti rained down, and so too did the booze. He didn't seem to mind, though, in the post-match interview, suggesting sometimes the crowd is with you, sometimes they're against you. The louder they boo, the better I play. He also said this: I knew if I kept the pressure on, he was going to crack, and he did. On the contact, I'm throwing my darts, he said. He needs to hold back and wait his turn. I knew I was going to beat him. He can't handle playing me. Then afterwards posted this on Twitter. All that matters, it read, #champion. Your winner, ladies and gentlemen, announced the PDC as he admired the Eric Bristow Trophy. This was the headline for our recap on YouTube. Contact made in one of the most contentious finals ever. Yes, it was a rowdy affair. Made headlines the world over. As you might imagine, not everyone was happy, as evidenced by the storm on Twitter. One of the most controversial darts matches I've ever seen, said commentator Rod Studd, asking, who was at fault during the on-stage shenanigans? 57% said Gerwin, just 14% Gary, 29% believing both were to blame. These are Kirstine Campbell's thoughts now. If any of our youngsters played in the manner you did, she said, we'd boot their backsides. Absolutely no respect. Gary has his faults too, but most of the time he was provoked. She then suggested Gerwin could learn from youth players and said, go up there, have your throw, get your darts out of the board, and get out of the way. This sentiment from Emil Steinman was echoed by many. Trying to annoy your opponent so he will perform less isn't fair play. That doesn't belong on a dart stage. Emil then added, I hope you won't be playing early matches so I can watch the darts when my children are in the room. Yes, there was a lot of that. Tons of criticism thrown Price's way, and the Welshman was incredulous. Look at this post from @GezzyPrice. I struggle to see what I do wrong apart from celebrate and show my emotions, he said. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. He then posted this for all the haters. Keep calm and Gary on, adding salt to the wound. Cheering in 81, said Mark Wilson. You know exactly what you did, but well played. What's next? Screaming when you hit 26? Believe it was 96, Jason's reply, and it was at a crucial point. Also, every time it rattled Anderson, so why not? Bethan Jones was keeping it real. You didn't do anything wrong, she said. Anderson didn't like that the game wasn't going his way and even resorted to physical contact. Did you see Gez retaliate? No. just 180s. Such mind games are part of any sports, tweeted Gunner. If I was Anderson, I'd have simply waited 2 or 3 seconds longer and had a laugh about how Price was acting. Never let your opponent come to your mind that way in any sports. Some wisdom right there. More wisdom here from commentator and former pro Chris Mason. Only way to silence him, he said, is to give him nothing to celebrate. Easier said than done, I know. Important to note that many pro dart players do celebrate. Price's opponents this week, for instance. There was fellow muscle man Josh Payne in the last 16. Tied at 5 midway through, we got this. He was fired up. Price dominated the second half to win 10-5, but it was smiles and camaraderie during the handshakes. In his quarterfinal with Simon Whitlock, we got this from the Wizard, although no one in their right mind would ever accuse Simon of foul play, well respected. Even in the finale, Gary Anderson had a few moments, reactions, even a wry smile for his family as if he was enjoying it. Of course, that's when he was ahead and seemingly in control. Thing is, says Tom Dixon, Anderson was giving it back when he was leading, so can't say anything. Nige DeBoom says MVG does it and no one has a problem. Scott Large had the same thought. MVG does it all the time, he said, but apparently you're not allowed. How do you think Eric and Jockey would have approached that behavior, asked Kevin. Eric maybe with the mind games, Jockey throwing haymakers. Jockey Wilson would have nutted Price, replied Wayne Stewart. One of the best ever. Wilson, a 2-time world champ. Remember when Cliff Lazarenko gave him the finger on stage? Imagine him playing Ted Hankey in the shithousery days. Deep thoughts from Big Dave. You did nothing wrong, tweeted the Whiskey Wingman. At worst, a critic could say you celebrate too much, but that's being overly picky. If people want robots, they can go to a car plant. If Ando doesn't like it, tell him to shoot better. Well played. Enjoy the victory. Never change, said Richard Asson. Another character in darts. Never a bad thing. Speaking of characters, how about the legend Bobby George? Congratulations, Gerwin, he said. You do need some credit, mate. And he certainly does. He faced off with Ando, all that pressure, and prevailed. How about another character, the PDC's Dan Dawson? Whether it made you smile, laugh, or just become incandescent with searing rage, he tweeted, remember that I love you, each and every one of you. Sweet dreams, he said, attaching a pic of Andrew Gilding consoling Glenn Durrant after Duzza was eliminated from the Grand Slam. Dart players' new training regime for 2019, joked Chris Mason, in case it turns into the Grand Slam of mixed martial arts. There's no thumbnail there, but we clicked the link, and it was a shot of this guy training hard. He must have had the treadmill on the highest speed possible because he was full out, then hopped off, started shadow boxing, getting ready for Gerwin Izzy. Mason's Twitter biopic suggests he might be getting ready too. Mace, no stranger to onstage theatrics. The Rocky of darts with a great question here. Odds on a dart player to hit Price during 2019? Mace replied, about 50-50. John Gwynn reminded us of Alan Evans, suggesting there's nothing new to the Price approach. The Welshman got under the skin of many a foe, he said. He and I came to blows once, and we were on the same team. Not that I'd even consider taking on Gerwin Price, mind you. We got more from @DanDartsDawson. His Twitter timeline meant he was enthralled by it all. First tweeting, I have never seen the like, and then couldn't speak for him, but I bet Bristow would have been creasing up watching all of this. He then said, just boarding up windows and doors to keep safe ahead of the anti-Price riots across the West Midlands tonight. Stay safe, people. And finally, giving us his 2 cents worth, if Gerwin is found to have made a noise while Gary is throwing, I'm assuming that'll be a $3,000 fine. Gary should not have been in the exclusion zone, which led to the argy-bargy. I have to admit, said Darren Fursden, Gerwin did nothing wrong, they don't like each other, and Gerwin out-psyched Anderson, adding, Ando is a very bad loser. Respect in pro sports? Not really. Darts these days is cutthroat, big money at stake, legacies, and of course bragging rights. I think it makes for great TV, said Danny McGarry, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Gripping stuff, great darts too. Whatever your thoughts on Gerwyn Price, there is no doubt the guy is an elite Aerosmith, and this week in Wolverhampton, he proved it. He found a winning recipe, sprinkled in a few 180s, a few ton-plus checkouts, added a cup of confidence, and then stirred it all up, and boy did he ever. Everyone calm down now, asked Chris Mason. This morning, of course, the day after. What a match! Contact and controversy at the Grand Slam. We give the last words to the man at the center of it all. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. The darting world divided today on High Roller Radio.